Hello, everyone, and once again, welcome to episode 3 of the Weeb Roundup. I could make a joke about higher-ups and such, but I feel like at this point, I think we've proved ourselves. I think that we're allowed to have a little bit of an ego. We're allowed to be slightly cocky, confident. We've gotten 3 episodes in. That's better than almost everything on the internet, which never gets past its first episode.
Huh. As long as they don't find out that I haven't watched any of the animes, then things are gonna be fine, right?
I mean, you just told them that you never watched anything that we're supposed to talk about today, so,
We'll edit it out in post. Yeah.
Will we? So, I would like to ask how you all are doing, but I have a story first. And
Sure.
then we'll
And I'm doing
then
fine,
we'll
by the
see
way.
how my Thank you. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
So for the last, I want to say decade, I have watched every single piece of media, whether it be video games, anime, movies, everything. I've only exclusively done it on computer monitors because my toxic fighting game brain is just like, oh, hey, I need to have the utmost in input latency. I need power. I need to make sure that when I hit a button, it's as fast as possible. And I've written off TVs for the past decade. They were against my religion for the longest time. Also, they were way expensive. And so recently, with the new move, as you can see here, it's too high up. As you can see, with the new room and so whatnot, this is the office that we're in now. That I'm in now, I should say. Kai is obviously not here. Lana is obviously not here. They are miles away from me. But essentially, I have a room that is different from my office for once, and it's great. And so I was like, wow, I have all this space. So you know what? I'm gonna buy a TV. I'm gonna buy a real nice TV. I was able to get a 4K. It was 58 inch for $500. Whereas that exact set literally 2 years ago would have been $3,000.
Yeah.
And so I get this
True.
TV and I'm like, okay, what all is on here? And so all of the anime that I watched this week, I watched it all on that TV. And I'm going to say right now, oh no. It's going to be so hard to go back to computer monitors because TVs are actually really nice and I hate this.
I mean, that's why they're so expensive, right? So people can just get the best monitor.
It's funny because the TV that I have in there is cheaper than a lot of the really nice monitors that I would be looking at a lot of the time. And it has Retro Crush on it, which means I can watch City Hunter and Hajime no Ippo whenever I want.
You say no, I got to mean it.
Dude, that means you can watch another movie that I wanted you to watch, Project Echo. That's on Retro Crush.
It also has
Yeah.
a shit ton of Lupin.
Oh, yeah. No, that
But-
sounds sick.
But other than that, we got a washer and dryer put in. I've been doing all the move-in stuff. Shit's been going real nice. Other than that, I went outside today to take my neighbor some curry and rice. And you ever just walk and then roll your ankle for no goddamn reason? And then
All the time.
you catch yourself, but only barely, and you're just like, oh, I look so stupid. I hope no one saw that. That was me today. Oh, fuck. But other than me rolling my ankle, looking really, really stupid, I've been having a good time this week. I got to watch a whole shit ton of anime that we're going to get to talk about later on this gigantic 58-inch TV. It's kind of glorious. But Kai, what have you been up to?
Me? Oh, well, I mean, I've just been working for the most part, just working on commissions, doing some voice acting stuff. Just kind of chilling. It's been all right. Could be better, but that's what we're working towards.
I mean, no, exactly. And Lana, you said things were going good. How good are they going?
I won a championship on Sunday. I won a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament in my area with a good amount of players and got the second of the same mat that I have. So now I'm Lana 2 belts. That was kind of neat.
Nice.
I
Wait,
sold.
this was that tournament that's like a regional type deal, right?
No, it's an OTS day, so it's like a middling regional. I played against a lot of different decks, and I kind of got a bit of an advantage because some of our best players were at a YCS. So like, I'm not gonna toot my own horn that hard, but like, I played against some of my huge bracket demons and overcame them. One of them being like just a problem for me to get over. Like there are a couple people at locals that really define what is the difference between a pro player and a good player. Yeah. And sometimes like I have to face the reality that I'm not a pro player yet. And I should have been a long time ago, but I never had the hustle, and these people did. But I had to accept that and just kind of like let go of those inhibitions and just take advantage of the fact that my deck doesn't have a bad matchup and just like relax. And I still whiffed the combo and almost lost the match in top 4. So that shows like my hesitation and that I need to get better. But I didn't drop a set. I drew one set, but I beat the person in top 4 that I drew with. Which goes to show you how much of a competitor they are. And my finals opponent, they fought very, very hard with a deck that I've always wanted to be good, and they showed me that it could be. So like it was definitely all respect at the end, and I'm very happy that I was able to pull it off again.
So Lana, everything you just described to me is exactly how I tend to feel about a lot of competitive fighting games. Yeah. In that it's one of those things where I feel like if I really, really wanted to, I could go super duper hard into fighting games starting literally like now if I wanted to.
Sure. Yeah.
And like push and throw everything else to the wayside. And like really like stand out to become like a competitor.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that I think a lot of people that want to get like good at a lot of competitive games don't tend to bring up, is the amount of like sacrifice to your time and like energy that it takes to actually get good at things like card games or fighting games or just like competitive games in general.
I solely believe in the ideology that you must die 1,000 deaths before your journey is complete. And this is my second Homestuck reference of the video. And that's like a very good ideology for like how much suffering you have to go through to be the best at what you are, and try to define yourself by that. And I'm going to keep trying for a little bit longer and make the decision on whether or not I want to stay doing something like that for the long term. So, well, yeah, but I did have some other things happen. We got some assets for my show. That was nice.
Let's go.
We're almost there. I set up a meeting with who was going to be the head voice of my show, and they don't seem very interested, so I'm going to be looking at someone else to be the new lead. And I've been reading the Spy Family manga on the side while working, so I've got that going on right now. But besides that, I'm ready to talk about shows.
But because we started kind of on a little bit of a tirade about, card games, fighting games, competitive games. Yeah. There's a fighting game that I play, actually. You might have heard about it. It's called Melty Blood, Type Lumina. And they got a bunch of new DLC announced yesterday. Mm-hmm. And I'm really, 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 really fucking excited. Because
how long's that game been out?
Type Lumina? Oh, less than like a year.
Okay, that makes sense then. Nice. I feel like that game's been out for like 20 years. Sorry.
I mean, original Melty Blood Act. Okay. Original Melty Blood came out in 2000. And then from original Melty Blood, we got a couple of small updates. And then we got Melty Blood Act Cadenza. Oh, wait, no. We got Melty Blood React, I think, which was the update to the original. And then we got Melty Blood Act Cadenza, which was the version that came after that. And that was the version that you ended up getting in arcades. And then you got Melty Blood Actress Again, which was the version that came after that. And then you got Actress Again Current Code, which is the version that we have before Type Lumina. And there's a good amount of Melty Blood. They all have really, really, really dumb fucking names. Much like a lot of things in terms of like Type Moon stuff, like Fate Real Tenua. Yeah, Fate Stay Night, Real Tenua, Fate Stay Night, or Fate Hollow Ataraxia, Fate Strange Fake, Fate Apocrypha, Fate Extra, Fate Extella. What? I'm having a stroke. So we got some new characters for Melty Blood, and they're doing the thing that they did last time, where they're releasing like 2 characters at a time. One's a newcomer, and then one's a returning character from the old games. And they're free DLC. So you can literally just scoop them when they come out on the 14th, which will be one day after this podcast goes up, hopefully. I don't know. I'm not going to date myself because I'm the type of person that's like, I'm going to get the editing and shit done for this podcast in 2 days. And then it turns into 4 days and I want to cry. But anyhow, they're releasing that. They're doing a bunch of balance changes. And in general, I'm over here just like, maybe a few of these balance changes will get some of the people that constantly complain about the game to stop fucking complaining about the game. Where it's like, you have people that will complain about certain aspects of a game, and then you're just like, oh, you can just do this, or you can just do this, or you can just do this to like kind of like mitigate it. And then they're going to be like, nope, I'm not listening to you because I have my own preconceived notions about how games work and it doesn't follow my blueprint. As such, it's bad. You get what I mean?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I feel like, Lana, you'd have more of an experience about this than I would.
About like fighting games?
No, just competitive games in general.
Can we talk about a casual game, maybe a JRPG? I'd like a little bit of a break. I did just sleep for a day and a half after playing in that tournament, and I got 8 hours of I got 8 hours of sleep after that tournament too. The good news was I was able to sell the one of the 2 mats for retail price. So I'm very in good spirits. Usually I would have sold that to a teammate for like 50%. You know what I mean?
I was gonna say, you said you wanted to talk about another kind of game, right? Like a nice RPG.
Oh yes, and I think I know exactly what might be. You know, I've really sat quietly on this one. I think I was the first. I feel like I was one of the first people to know what time they would announce this game. Like in real life. And I was awake, and I just didn't get on my computer that night. I don't know what it was, Nick. There was something in me that just said, maybe you're not ready to go back. Maybe you're not ready to cross that line again. And you know, when I woke up that morning and got ready for that tournament, and I got in my car, and I had 20 million text messages.
Would you say, Lana, would you say that you walked away and you could not hear them say?
You know, I felt like I needed a chance to reconnect with my heart.
Oh my god.
So
and what better way than the heart of all worlds? Kingdom Hearts.
So
Kingdom Hearts 4.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Okay. So, quick little story time here, I guess, for just a moment before we get ridiculously back onto topic.
Sure.
So when Kingdom Hearts 3 was first announced and they showed that, you know, that fake as fuck tech demo, right?
Oh my god. Okay, you want to talk about the real shit now, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that demo was horrendous. I remember seeing it when I was a kid and being like, this game isn't going to be out for like ever. That's not the game. You can't tell me that this game's going to be Assassin's Creed.
Oh,
that's
my
not
God.
Or you can't tell me this game is going to be God of War or Ashura's Wrath or even. I think Kingdom Hearts would be better if it was Ashura's Wrath, really. Kingdom Hearts 3? But that's Melody of a Memory, and that sounds terrible. So let's be real. Let's be real here. That trailer, that gameplay demo for Kingdom Hearts 4, it looks real.
I don't think it looks real at all, personally.
I think it looks way more real than Kingdom Hearts 3's. I think when we get the game, we're going to be able to fight that dark side in some way similar to that.
I think we're going to get to fight it in some way similar, but there's something about the animation in Kingdom Hearts 4 for that demo, I should say, that looked a little... It's mostly the part that I'm talking about in particular is when Sora is like grappling and then he goes inside the building and the building turns and then he changes his orientation to grinding along the window. That in particular looks incredibly strange. And I get that it was real time, because that is one thing about that trailer that they made sure to highlight, is that was rendered in real time using Unreal Engine 4. But in general, I think that some of the animation in Kingdom Hearts 4 is definitely going to get a bit of an overhaul.
So I think that's going to come naturally with the progression into Unreal Engine 5.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that they were trying to show us what they're going to attempt to emulate in the actual game, and I think once we reach Unreal Engine 5, and you look at how flow motion used to work in like Olympus in Kingdom Hearts 3, you get to see the bones of that sequence. Like the like their attempt to do that. Like remember climbing to fight the Rock Titan, and then the Tornado Titan like made those buildings that you'd have to shot lock onto to do anything to get close to that thingamawhat's it.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, so like it stands to reason that if you change how air stepping works to work with the flow motion that they were trying to create in point 2, they could reasonably emulate that in the current game. At least I believe that they could. Now I think that now that they know how to use this engine, I can wholeheartedly say that the release date for Kingdom Hearts 4 very likely will be the end of 2025. Even sooner. I don't think the game will break 2025 unless another pandemic hits.
See, I think we're looking at 2024. I think we're looking at mid to late 2024.
I have reasons to personal heat with Square Enix that designates that I cannot say any sooner than January of 2025. Now, a lot of people.
My uncle works at Disney.
Now here's the deal between me and you, Nick. There is no one watching this ever that is going to believe that game is coming out any earlier than 13 years from now. And you know why?
Why? You know what? I know why, but I'll humor you.
Because Kingdom Hearts fans drool on their own fucking spit when it comes to looking at the promotional value of a company. Kingdom Hearts 3 wasn't announced until 2014. Now, granted, that's a long-ass time to wait for a game. We basically waited a pandemic for a game. You know what I mean? Now, if you look back at that, that's not that long of a time, is it? I was in school before this thing happened. You know what I mean? So why can't Kingdom Hearts 4 come out any sooner? Now that they're not switching engines like completely, they're going to Unreal Engine 5, but I think they probably just built this tech demo in 4 and they're going to build the whole game in 5. They've added something that's weird, and it's Sora's new look, and I hope that that's just for Quadratum.
Okay, they have actually come out on record to say
and said that Sora looks weird because he's in Quadratum.
Yes, that is all 100% already confirmed.
I've only heard that through hearsay, so I am not going to vote for or against that take or that statement. But if you're saying it's true, then for this podcast, it's true.
Yes, for this podcast, I will say it in red. Sora looks that way because he is in Quadratum.
And the proof in the pudding is that Donald and Goofy look fine. You know what I mean? So I believed it. So as long as Sora doesn't look like that for the whole game, and even if he did, I could probably handle it. But he's going to be a lot more palpable once we get to see the Sora that we know. You know what I mean? Which we're probably not going to see in any of these trailers because we're in a modern, like, don't spoil it, like, environment where, like, you can't, which is crazy because I think Kingdom Hearts 3 did a really good job of spoiling as much as they wanted without spoiling the game. You know what I mean? Like, when I watched all those trailers and then I played the game, I was like, that didn't make any sense. I could not parse what the story would have been from those trailers. I parsed what I thought the story would be from those trailers. I didn't think any of that stuff would happen. The moral of the story is now everyone play Kingdom Hearts 3 and please play the Remind DLC. I'm sorry Kingdom Hearts 3 is a bit of a slog at the end of it. Unfortunately, people demanded the game be out, and we screwed them up. I promise you that slog part of the game is remade in the Remind DLC, and it's very good. Please trust me. I promise I wouldn't lie to you. Except for that time where I said I would watch those animes. I totally lied to you.
Kai?
Yeah?
I would like you to kick the shit out of Lana in spirit. You actually can't go over to Florida right now, and Florida's probably kicking her ass harder than we ever could.
Oh, no, I know.
It was very cold this morning, and then it wasn't.
But before we move on, I just wanted to bring up, where were you when that original Kingdom Hearts 3 demo dropped? Because for me, I remember I had just graduated college. I was watching E3, and it was the E3 where they had announced, like, oh, the PS4 and the Xbox One and whatnot. And I'm sitting there with my friends, and it's like, okay, it's like right at the end of, I think it was the PlayStation or the Square Enix showcase. And I see Sora. I'm in the middle of my friend's 1-bedroom apartment because I did not have a home at the time, sleeping on his couch with about 5 other people in this very tiny living room, jumping up and down, screaming, and running around the room almost in tears.
Well, in the KH3 trailer, I kind of shrugged at that too. I was just like, at that, because I thought I had my KH3. I played Dream Drop Distance. So like when I beat GDD, I was like, okay, so the next game's what, KH4? And then they're like, no, it's Kingdom Hearts 3. And I was like, oh, okay, let's do it. Let's do it again. I hope this game is good. And then it started building and building and building and building and building and building. And then all of a sudden I was counting down the days. You know, I had a countdown. It was my bookmark. It was the first thing that I would see when I opened Google Chrome. Like, and I was ready to go. And I counted down, and there were my top 13 characters in Kingdom Hearts. And then the day came, and I was on my knees in joy holding the game, and then I got the PS4, and I have the PS4. I love that thing. PS4, the Kingdom Hearts PS4 is beautiful. And
I wish I had it.
I took a financial risk getting that. I did not have money.
Holy shit!
I was eating ramen cups for, I had to have been 90 days.
Oh gosh.
Oh god.
Yeah, it's like one of my meals every single day. For most of the time, I wouldn't eat another meal unless one of my friends offered, and they didn't know that I was that poor. I did not let anyone know. I just told them I wasn't hungry. Like, I wanted that PlayStation 4 at all costs.
You are a champion.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Like, so I got to play Kingdom Hearts 3 on the best equipment possible at the time when it came out, and I played it. And there's a scene in Kingdom Hearts 3 where I'm in the toy store that I always wanted to go to, and Buzz is having an existential crisis, and I'm like, wow, Buzz, way to do it a second time. And I walk into fucking the toy area with the figures, and I see Bahamut next to Shiva, and I'm just like, wow. Disney really let us do that. So I'm walking with Woody and Buzz, and we see this Rock'em Sock'em Robots, and I start playing Rock'em Sock'em Robots, and I've never been excited for a Rock'em Sock'em Robots game in my life. And I win. And I win. And Sora goes, yes, I did it! And then we get a strength up, and I started crying for 20 minutes. My girlfriend was there. She's sitting right here. She can confirm that happened. It was brutal. I took a shot every single time someone said Sora, Donald, Goofy in that cadence and order. Like, the answer is 21. And and in Kingdom Hearts 3. In Kingdom Hearts 2, wow. Wow.
Oh yeah.
Wow. You gotta be kidding
Sora,
me.
Donald,
I'll bet.
Goofy.
Introducing yourself to Shang, introducing yourself to Mulan, introducing yourself to, I don't know, the brick wall.
Jack Sparrow.
When I finish I still haven't beaten the secret boss of Kingdom Hearts 3. I still need to do that. This kind of little.
Oh, you should.
I know, it's hard though. I got him down to 2 health bars last time I fought him. So now it's just shaping up my meta against him and beating him, you know. I can beat Lingering Will on a fight stick. Like, there's a video of that on YouTube. the replay of me
Sick.
fighting Lingering Will on a fight stick.
Sick.
So like I know I can do it. I just gotta believe. And now that I see where Sora is going. Now that I know he has a future out there, I gotta beat that guy. Like this lit a fire on my ass. The Kingdom Hearts 4 announcement, mid. Did I want it? Yes. Was I ready for it? No. Was I prepared? You goddamn believe I was.
Oh boy, what, my story with Kingdom Hearts 3?
I need it. I need to know the story. Where were you when the KH3 trailer dropped, and how did you feel when when we saw KH4, when we saw Starbucks Sora?
Oh my god. So going back to KH3's announcement is really dark for me because that was when I was in a bad place. I was dating somebody who was less than stellar.
Okay.
But I remember for me, when Kingdom Hearts 3 got announced, it was around the same time that I knew, like, oh, we were getting Smash Bros. Ultimate. So I was more excited for Smash Bros. Ultimate. But at the same time, you know, I was like, oh, I'm so excited for Kingdom Hearts 3. Like, I still really want this game. And then it comes out. I don't have a PS4 at the time. So I resorted to being a cheapskate and watching a playthrough on YouTube. And so I did that instead. Then I still got to laugh at everybody being like, oh my god, the one part in the Frozen world where you see the Arnold logo on Elsa for like a couple of frames because they didn't update their copy of Maya, which was hilarious. But you know, like there's all that stuff that was wrong with Kingdom Hearts 3, and then I noticed almost nothing wrong with Smash Bros. At the time, and I was just like, oh, I backed the better game, and I honestly don't know if I would agree with that statement anymore. I think that after the Remind DLC and everything, like Kingdom Hearts 3 really came into its own. Like it was a good game. It was a very it was the game that we wanted, I think. At least for me, it was the game that I wanted out of Kingdom Hearts 3.
See, I'm in a weird minority where I'm like, I think that base Kingdom Hearts 3 was actually a really fucking good game, and that people just thought that because the game took so long that it was going to be this bastion of perfection. And I'm just like, it's not going to. And like, you should just enjoy it for what it is. And a lot of people just didn't. And I'm like, nah, it's fine. It's a good game. And then Remind hits, and I'm just like, oh, it's great. It's perfect. It's like a perfect video game, if you ask me.
I mean, if I will commend Nomura for anything, it's the fact that he just made Verum Rex as a means to be like, I'm mad that I didn't get to make Versus 13 or whatever. So I'm just going to do this and then make it a huge part of my story to the point where like, oh yeah, it matters in Kingdom Hearts 4. It matters that much that like, no, to explain what Quadratum is, you need to have understood what Verum Rex is in the Toy Story world. Like, okay, sure.
What?
Thanks for that.
That's basically everything in terms of like news stuff that I feel like I'd like to really go over. That's basically everything that felt interesting to me, except for one other thing. But I kind of want to bring that up in this next little section that we have here. So Lana has already kind of made her confession, but just for the sake of content, Lana, if you would.
What do you want me to say? What do you want? What are you asking me?
I don't know, Lana. I don't know. What is something that should have been done that didn't happen? So real quick, essentially, Lana wasn't able to get to any of the anime that we were going to be talking about this week. So we're doing something a little different here. In order to help with logistics, to kind of help narrow shit down for Lana, as well as to give us something to talk about on this hellscape of a podcast, I am going to introduce Anime Pitch Time. Kai and I are going to be talking about these anime that we have seen to Lana this week, as well as to you, the greater audience that may or may not have seen these shows. And if they sound interesting to you, I highly recommend that you give them a watch. Or don't give them a watch if we say that they're bad. Our opinions are really, really important. We're one of them, we're influencer, something like...
No, they're not. Don't listen to him. We're not important.
There is one thing, though, that we did get to before this. So this is one thing that we can talk about before the pitch shit, is the author of Chainsaw Man released this really, really fucking cool one-shot called Goodbye Eddie. And literally like an hour before like the podcast started, roughly, give or take, we read through this entire one-shot in one go. So our main character, Yuta, it starts with him getting a smartphone from his mother. And he's like filming around, being like, oh, hey, yeah, I'm gonna just film and film and film. And his mother tells him, I want you to film everything because I am dying. And, she wants to like build up memories and stuff because that's just what she do. Like, she didn't know when her time was going to go. And she's like, let's film and get some good memories together. And so it shows him in a very interesting way in that the entirety of the manga is being shot from this POV perspective to the point where the author, even when he's like, he's running around, and the author conveys that feeling of like shooting everything on a smartphone camera so well in terms of the way that the POV is, in terms of the angles in which he draws a lot of the panels. He even emulates stuff like camera shake, camera blur, chromatic aberration, like for being black and white. And it's really fucking cool. And it gets to the point where at the end of this, you find out he's actually making a movie using the footage of his dead mother. And he's like, okay, here we go. Here's the climax. And he's told, your mother wants you to film her final moments before she passes on. It cuts to Yuta running away from the hospital. The hospital explodes. Roll credits. And
all you need.
With the hospital and the guy was doing like an epic gamer walk.
The most epic gamer walk. He was just like, he looks so silly.
That guy knew to not look back at the cool explosion.
And like, this is something that I like to say about the Chainsaw Man and Fire Punch author a lot, is that the best way that I can describe his works is you have a character that kicks shit off of your coffee table, jumps on top of it, begins shitting on the table, recites to you the works of Shakespeare, and then eats a sandwich. Where he's very crude, and he is unabashedly crude about a lot of the shit that he works with. And then all of a sudden, it's almost like this weird kind of like window into us as people, I feel, in a way, where you can be talking to someone that's incredibly crude. And then all of a sudden, out of character from what you would normally come to expect from someone, they'll say something incredibly insightful. And you'll be like, whoa, you're a lot more experienced and smart than I like gave you credit for. And like, I've had those types of experiences with people all the time. And then all of a sudden they'll just go back to being fucking goofy. And like, it's something that honestly sets apart works like Chainsaw Man, and in this case, Goodbye Eddie, from a lot of other shit that I've seen. And like, the manga continues, and it's a one shot, and he essentially meets another girl in an abandoned warehouse. They start watching movies, and then this girl is like, hey, I want you to make a movie with me, because I saw your movie. People laughed at you for it. They made fun of you. They said you were awful, but I think you can make a great film. So make this movie with me. And then it just goes from there. The one shot's free on Viz Media's website. I will link it down in the description. I think it is definitely worth a read. It is, you will feel things, and then you are going to get every bit of feeling that you thought you felt just ripped violently from your fucking chest.
I don't know how they would adapt something like this. You know what I mean?
I think you could adapt something like this into an anime.
I think if you did, it would be very postmodern piece. Like people would be very into it, but like there'd either be people who are into it who take it too seriously, or people who are into it ironically, you know?
Funnily enough, that's a lot of people that are into like Chainsaw Man.
Okay.
And that's just the kind of stuff that he makes. Is there are people that are into it just for the surface level? Oh, this dude's based. This guy says like really misogynistic shit and it's really funny and like shit like that. And then all of a sudden, and then you have some people like me that are just like, oh, this is really crude. But he has some shit that he's trying to say. And like Chainsaw Man's a really good example of that.
It is very one, for lack of better reference for me. Whenever I see, because like there are times where it's very silly, and then there's times where it's very crude, and then there's times where all of a sudden you're just like, wow, what an impact. You know, like the message really hit home. Also, the best final panel ever.
Oh yeah,
the best final page of anything ever.
If you read the whole thing, if you just skip to the final page, you're ruining it.
Don't do it
for yourself.
Don't do it. Do not skip to the final page. Read it. It's like 200 pages. I read it in like 20 minutes. It's.
If you come to my Twitter, and if you come to my Twitter and you say you read it, and I find out you didn't read it, I'm sending you the final page, and I'm gonna go, was it worth it? Like, was it worth it to not understand this page? That's how it feels.
As someone who doesn't read a lot of manga, it would definitely hit me differently. Like I can still like appreciate, you know, like what manga is. I just don't consume manga as much as I do anime. And I gotta say, this was a very interesting experience for me because I've never had anything to do with that particular author, as Nick had pointed out when we were talking.
You just read like 5 monthly chapters of manga in like one sitting, by the way.
Pretty much, yeah.
That was like 5 chapters of Dragon Ball Super.
Yeah.
Like that. The good news was half of it didn't have text.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that definitely made it go a lot faster. I believe there was even one page where it was just black for 2 pages.
I felt like I was reading Hajime no Ippo. Like it was reading at like 100 miles an hour. But it was long to compensate for that because Hajime no Ippo knows that it's going to get another month of being able to put chapters out. This knew that it had one shot, so it made itself extremely long, so then it could have that kind of space. And that was good. I liked it.
Yeah. That was very good. Definitely would recommend that people go and read this.
Yeah, I would say right now, again, it is literally free on their website. It is called Goodbye Eddie by Tatsuki Fujimoto, the creator of Chainsaw Man. Fucking read it. While you're at it, please also read Chainsaw Man. Please also read Fire Punch. Everything that Fujimoto puts out is... It's weird. It's very crude, but it says a lot about, like, the human condition and, like, where things are in the world is, like, the only real way I can put it. Also, his draftsmanship is really fucking good, and no one else draws like he does in modern manga. So, like, please, I'm begging you. I could go on and on and on about this, but otherwise, I'll just be talking about Chainsaw Man, and I need to shut the fuck up, and we're gonna move on. So now, we've gotten past Goodbye Eddie. Once again, it is time now for the official start of whatever I called the last thing. Was it like the Anime Pitch Show or something?
Anime Pitch Cast, I think you have it down as.
Yes, it was the Anime Pitch Cast. There we go. If that's wrong from the last one that I said, I apologize. But essentially, what we're going to go through here is Kai and I are going to go through all of the stuff that we have watched, and we are going to see if we can convince Lana to give them a go.
All right. Well, if they adapted Goodbye Eddie, I'd watch it. It'd only be like what, 40 minutes.
It'd be a nice OVA. It'd be a fucking nice OVA.
I would definitely, if it was a nice OVA, like I would love that. Even if they decided to make it into like a really weird esoteric film, that was like, you know, like an hour and a half. I'd be like, you know what? I feel like that would work. That would definitely
It'd be
work
really funny to watch it too in action because it would look like shit as an anime if they just drew it that way. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It'd be very funny because they would try to crudely draw it to kind of like convey some kind of emotion, and it would hit. It would just be like, wow, this is so dorky the way this guy moves. When he does the jump
Yeah.
for the explosion, it'd be the funniest fucking thing I'd ever seen in my
It would
life.
be so fucking
Oh
funny.
man, I just like like he just they better give that guy a goofy voice. I like that. I would be very down with that.
Yeah.
Oh god! And you want to know what I'm really down with? That I want you to watch first, Lana.
Mm.
I want you to watch AoAshi, and here's why.
All right.
So, premise: AoAshi is one of them their production IG sports anime. So you already know it has a pedigree. It's like super pretty looking. And
Is this the one about golf?
no, this is the one about soccer, football.
American? Soccer? Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
okay. The dude looks like Ty.
If you ask me, he looks like a brown-haired Hinata IMO.
Yes.
But
That's
rounder.
fair.
Like if Hinata from Haikyuu is very sharp, I think his name's Aoshi.
I believe so, because his name is AoAshi Ashido or something like that.
It's something like that. But
They've really
essentially-
got a guy for everything in this anime.
yeah, and he's very round. He's soft. I could hug him. He's a good boy.
No, he seems like a nice kid.
Yeah. But so I started watching this and I'm like, okay, I have been around the block before in terms of a lot of sports shows. I've seen Kuroko no Basket, where your main lead was like a deuteragonist type thing of a dude that was like super duper into himself and he was like really, really solid at everything. And then a really quiet kid that was good at one thing. And then you have something like Haikyuu, where once again, it's like a deuteragonist thing, but to a slightly lesser degree, of someone who's incredibly hot shit, but has to be put in his place when he realized he's not quite as good as he thinks he is. And then our main character, who really sucks at the like fundamentals of playing a game, but is very good at one thing. So in AoAshi, the main character is a self-proclaimed manga protagonist. He literally joins the team and then says, okay, guys, I am the reincarnation of Zidane Zidane, even though he's still alive. When I'm on the field, you pass me the fucking ball. What's that? You're not passing me the fucking ball? Well, I guess we're losing then. I'm the fucking best. I'm the shit. I'm world class.
Okay, so he's Tucker from the Hey Arnold episode where they played basketball.
Yes.
Okay. Remember when the coach was like, give the ball to my son, Tucker, but he can't do free throws. So Arnold had to teach him how to do free throws by teaching him how to feel the flow in basketball.
Yes.
Like, yeah, like this guy. Okay. I'm vibing.
So what ends up happening is he apparently has joined several teams in the past, and they always laugh at him, and they're just like, oh, you're a ball hog. You're a nerd. Get the fuck out of here. And then he joins a new team, he gives this spiel, and everyone's like, yo, listen to this dude. He sounds like the main character of a manga. You want us to pass you the ball? Yeah, sure, we'll fucking do it. And so they work with him. And you find out that this kid who's really, really fucking loud about shit is actually a genius. So he goes to like the last game of his middle school season before he moves on to high school. And he's like, he's kicking their asses. He's like the best. They're passing him the ball constantly. He's shooting goals consistently. On the opposite team, there's this shit kid. And he's like, oh man, it's been a while since you've been to our team, but you can't do shit. What are you doing over there? And he's talking a lot of shit. And then main character's like, man, shut the fuck up. And he headbutts him. Because we have to have at least one headbutt per episode at this point. So kid headbutts the shit out of him.
Well, it's
kicks
soccer.
the shit out of him.
It's
Yeah,
soccer.
it's soccer.
That's a thing that happens. No, it shouldn't happen player to player, but sometimes headbutts happen.
Like he's the reincarnation of Zidane Zidane.
Great, yeah, true.
But it's like, man, if I had a quarter for every time we mentioned a headbutt on this show, I'd have 3 quarters. But it's really weird that it's happened 3 times. But essentially, they take him off the field, his team loses, and then he goes to the beach. And we were talking last time on the podcast where you see a shot of him watching his dad playing soccer.
That's not his dad. That's not his dad.
That's not his dad. So
If I was his dad, that's very, very alarming that that's his dad.
So he goes to the beach, and there's just this old guy being like, "Hey, yo, I can show you how to do a thing or two with those soccer balls there. I can teach you this new move. You're just gonna have to work at it, though." And then the kid's like, "Man, fucking just give me the ball and I'll do it. Shut the fuck up." And it's like he had to like hit the ball with his chest while keeping his stomach rotated in the way that he wanted to go and be able to move the ball into circles that he had drawn onto the ground within 3 steps, essentially. So he's like trying to get the kid to do like ridiculously high level control of the ball. And like, so he's just like fucking around on the beach. This old man's just watching him. And eventually he's just like, "Oh man, I can't get it. This is so fucking hard. Fuck this." And then the old man's like, "Man, you really don't know anything about soccer tactics, do you?" And then the kid's just like, "Hold the fuck up, motherfucker." And he draws a diagram of one of the plays that he had made in the game before he got taken off of the field, memorizing the position of over 22 players on the field and what thought process went through his head on the fly with no plan to shoot a goal through like 4 defenders. And then the old man looks at this graph that he had drawn up and he's like, "Holy fuck, this kid is a genius. He's just really stupid." And so the kid practices the move after the old man passes out until morning. He's like, "Old man, I got it." And then he passes out on the ground. And then the old man's like, "Okay, I run a youth soccer team. You're coming to our tryouts." And he's like, "What?" And he's like, "Come to our tryouts." And then the kid just passes out on the beach and the old man just kind of leaves him there.
Wow.
Very responsible adult.
Great.
You also find out that the old man's trying to make like a world-class like youth soccer team, essentially. He's wanting to rule the soccer world.
Okay.
And like it starts with him making the youth team.
That happens that's all in episode 1, the first episode of the show.
Yeah, and that's not even technically everything, because there's a plot point with like his mom and how they're like really, really poor, essentially. And that's why he like apparently beat the kid up. But,
yeah, I was wondering where the struggle for these characters was going to come in, because I feel like this kid's been kind of getting everything he wants.
He's really, really good. He's just very abrasive with people, and he's incredibly poor.
Yeah, it's to this whole point where, like, you know, his parental figures were just telling him, like, we are poor. You cannot pay our bills with soccer. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And
so
like,
they don't
them
want
essentially
him
telling him, like, they don't want him to be in it. No.
Oh, that sucks. Okay.
Yeah, so he has a dream, and his parental figure is just like, "No, you're a fucking dumbass. Just do the normal kid thing." And he's like, "But I have dreams." I know that feeling of like being like, I want to do this thing. Because for me, for a long time, it was I wanted to move to like California and stuff to do a lot of like game dev stuff. And I remember for the longest time just getting shot down until I finally managed to persuade my grandma to essentially like let me start pursuing the career path I wanted to pursue. But it was like one of the longest and most draining battles of my entire life.
Yeah.
So I definitely relate to it. So I will ask you now, though, Lana, how do you feel about AoAshi? Is that a yay or a nay?
Like, am I going to watch it?
Yeah.
Or
does it at least sound interesting enough to watch?
It does sound interesting enough to watch the way that you pitched it. Yes. The problem is I'm very hard pressed to finish a certain sports anime that will never finish.
That's Haikyuu?
So no.
No, have you been paying attention?
Oh, it's Hajime no Ippo.
Yeah, it's Hajime no Ippo. What else would it be?
Well, I mean, there's not new episodes of Ippo.
Yes, there is every month. Every month I read it. I get an alert on my Discord. I scroll down to it. I see Ippo's fist on the Discord, and I'm counterpuncher ranked because I talk every single chapter about what I thought the chapter was like, and I'm happy for Mashiba, and I hope to see more. Please, everyone, can someone get George some fucking Flintstones gummies? I really need that guy to stay alive. I really need the show to end.
Mashiba's going to remain a jobber for the rest of his goddamn life.
That's not true. That is not true. Nick, cut this from the frickin' recording, because Mashiba's the #1 contender for the light heavyweight world championship. You can get on out of here.
He's still a jobber. He's still a jobber compared to Ippo.
And you know who he thanked in his moments before he was passing out for giving him the willpower to stay standing? Ippo Makunouchi. He thanked him.
Should have been Takamura.
Takamura's got a title fight coming up in in 35,000 chapters soon.
Oh, okay,
soon.
35.
It is.
Okay.
It is slated. He is slated for a title fight for his.
This is finally going to be the match where Takamura fucking dies.
Where he loses. Oh my god!
No, not
someday.
Loses. He's going to win.
He will win.
He'll
He's
die.
gonna die in the ring. He's gonna die in the ring. No, that's his 5th title win. He's on his 4th.
Oh
he is
my god!
Finally, in 2021, on his 4th. All right. So what's next? Shikimori.
It roughly translates to, I believe, the actual title is Shikimori-San wa Kawaii Kunai. I believe
the English name is Shikimori-san isn't just cute.
Yeah, essentially. It's like I think the official localized name is Shikimori isn't just a cutie, and I'm just like, that's fine. I can deal with that. And essentially, this show at first, it's like whenever I see the big waifu show of every season, I'm always really hesitant to start it because I'm like, okay, this is going to be the show that all of the gross nerds come out of the gross nerd pit for and be like, oh, I love this girl. She's great, guys. Like, come on, it's the best. And I'm just like, I'm begging you to go outside. But regardless, essentially, this show's very, very cute. And the way I like to describe it is it's like reverse Utena. I would say it another way, but I don't want to say it right now. I'm a coward.
Really?
Anywho, should I say it?
I was gonna say you came to me. Hold on, I'm gonna grab this timestamp for this. This man comes to me. All he says to me at 1:41 in the morning on April 19th, 2022, says to me, "Shikimori is just Utena for the straights." That is your exact words. Own up to them.
Fine, tease. So essentially, you have your main character, Izumi, who is dating this girl and they're both in high school. Izumi is dating this girl named Shikimori. And the whole shtick with Izumi is that he is incredibly unlucky. Like, he'll be walking around, he'll trip on a rock and break his leg. Birds will shit on him. If he's walking down the street, there's a chance a truck will just plow him down and just kill him.
This is just Milo Murphy's Law, the anime. That's what this is.
Mm-hmm.
He just has Murphy's Law on him all the time. That's Izumi's character. And the whole thing is that Shikimori is just there to be like, oh, well, I'm going to get you out of harm's way. That's her entire thing. Every time she does, she looks super cool. That's how Izumi sees her.
And essentially the way it works is when you first see her, you're like, oh yeah, she's like this generic, cute character, essentially. But then all of a sudden, a signpost will fall on Izumi and he's like, oh god, oh no. And she'll do a fucking jujutsu roundhouse kick to kick the sign out of the fucking air and land with the most elegant, cool pose possible. And Izumi is just like, oh my god, she's so cool. And then you just look at the two of them and you're like, yeah, she pegs him super hard.
And well, he'll do that. He'll be like, oh my god, she's so cool. And then she'll be there like, I just want him to call me cute.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just a cute little slice of life. There's a character that looks like Gary Oak and it's very funny.
He does look like Gary Oak.
It's just cool little slice of life bits. It's very cute. It's a really nice feel good show. And I have a lot of fun with it. It also has probably my favorite ending of the entire season so far.
Oh, absolutely. I would say I would tie this with the ending for Komi-san season 2. They both have like really high like technical ability, and like but like more to the side of Shikimori, I just love the art style of it, and it reminds me a lot of like Muse Dash in the way that they kind of have it so that he's just kind of walking, and the entire time Shikimori's just trying to keep him out of harm's way, but it's to like the exact beat of the ED song it's playing, so like it's just a rhythm game.
Yeah, it's literally the ending of the ending of the anime is a rhythm game, and it's really fucking cute. Oh my god, it's so good. I love it. All right, so hit me with the verdict, Lana. What do you think?
Personally, I think you had a good pitch, but I don't think I want to watch that show. Like, I'm not in love. Hasn't encapsulated me.
It's times like this I wish you had like a buzzer, and then we could show the anime falling into what is essentially like the Nickelodeon slime pit of endless despair.
You could put up the X from like Match Game in the 80s and no one will understand the reference.
I understood that reference.
Oh yeah, no, you watch the Game Show Network.
Of course I watched the Game Show Network. I lived with my grandmother.
Yes, exactly.
But, before we move on, there's actually a little bit of news kind of attached with this show that's a little unfortunate. So essentially, the production company that puts on Shikimori, a whole bunch of their fucking staff caught COVID, and they had to close the studio on April 6th, and it's not going to open again until April 17th. So that caused the show to get delayed a week, but it's also going to be like, they're trying to work out a workflow to see if it's possible to do like work from home stuff. But like, the production for this show is already looking like real fucking spooky. And it also kind of, to me, begs the question, if it's getting to the point where you have enough people getting sick to where it closes an entire studio and all of the studios are literally a stone's throw away from each other, should we really be going back into the office at points? Can we not just like do remote work in terms of like putting together like a lot of like the majority of the studio assets? Like, is it really worth it?
Oh, no, not really.
Now we move on to my favorite studio,
Oh,
Studio
boy.
Mappa, with Dance Dance Danseur, which has probably my favorite opening of the entire season so far.
It's a very, very impressive opening. There's a lot of POV shots in it. A lot of the shots they have are very, like, they flow very well. They're diegetic. It has a very nice feeling to it. One that, like, if I see that opening, I'm probably just going to smile throughout the whole thing. I know I did. For the first time I saw it, I was like, oh, absolutely. This is amazing. I love this.
I'm looking forward to more of this show. One part in particular is just because of the opening, because it's Studio Mappa getting to do just a ton of just incredibly nice looking cuts. This show is animation pornography. So we talked about it a little bit last time, where this is a show about a dude wanting to do ballet. He starts off as a kid wanting to learn ballet because he sees someone on stage do an incredible performance, and he's like, he sees it, and all of a sudden just nothing but onomatopoeia pop into his head of, oh, sparkles, fireworks, Dokkan, like a big explosion, essentially. Like, whenever he sees ballet, something lights up within him, and it just causes him to feel alive. So he's like, it like goes through a little bit of like his backstory about learning ballet as a kid, other kids making fun of him. He does the one thing that you do as a child when someone is making fun of you. You headbutt them. And so he's talking with his dad about all of this, being like, Dad, I want to learn how to do ballet. And his dad is like a stunt coordinator for Bruce Lee. He's like a super giga chad and is just like, oh man, wouldn't you want to do something manly? Like Jeet Kune Do? That shit sounds dope. That sounds way better than ballet. And then the kid's like, but I really want to do ballet. And he does like a whole bunch of like really like elegant flips and shit to show his dad. And his dad's like, well, if you want to do ballet, yeah, you can do ballet. It's fine. Let's give it a go. And so, of course, like any supportive parent, he dies. Then the kid's just like, well, I guess I have to take care of my family now, and I can't go after the things that I want to do. And so he cuts his hair really short and starts learning Jeet Kune Do because he feels like he has to like take on the memory of his father. And so it cut to him in class showing off like a whole bunch of like Jeet Kune Do shit, and he does a flip. And this girl who's playing the piano sees him do this flip, and she's like, that's a ballet flip. You don't do martial arts. You do dance flips. And he's like, nah, it was a Jeet Kune Do thing. And then she does like a huge flip in front of him while also flashing her panties, because that's just what you do, I guess. She ends up dragging him to their ballet studio and ends up kind of reigniting his love for ballet. And during all of this, you're just seeing this incredible mishmash of 2D and 3D animation, incredible camera shots, some of the most fluid motion that I have legitimately ever seen for a show like this. And again, it reminds me a lot of Welcome to the Ballroom, which was a Production IG show from a few years ago that I'm very fond of. And hell, I feel like this show even tries to like talk a bit about like gender roles and a lot of gender stereotypes, and like how one who has been indoctrinated into a lot of like this like very masculine mindset can kind of move past that and embrace things that might not be, traditional in what you would expect from like a normal masculine mindset in both appearance and like hobbies and whatnot. And in general, I think that in terms of theming, in terms of presentation, it's easily one of my favorite shows this season. It's so fucking cool.
That was a very good explanation of it, Nick, but I'm not letting you live down what you said before when you started it. Animated pornography is just hentai, my dude.
It's animation pornography.
I know what I said.
And I know what I said.
Given that what you already said about the episode, like there's a lot to go over, especially with like the interactions he has with the other characters. This girl, who she takes him to the dance studio where her mom teaches, and the mom walks in and she says to the mom like, "Hey, can he learn ballet here?" And she's like, "No, he's not in it. His heart's not in it, I can tell." And he's like, "No, I can dance. Watch it." He just like does like a Don Quixote sort of thing, starts like flipping through the air. And this whole time he's doing it, you can see like the girl and the mom. The girls go like, "Oh, this is so good, boy!" And it's like, but the mom's just like kind of impressed, but at the same time she's just like, "No, okay,
no, yeah.
right."
I have to interject real quick to keep this in perspective. She's no selling it so fucking hard. This kid is doing like the Tony Hawk 900. He's going nuts. And she's just like, "Oh no, that's cool." And then after that, she gets a beer. She cracks it open and she's like, "Oh yeah, that's cool."
It does a really good job of like getting you into like the characters in the world in that first episode, especially like just this idea that like the main character doesn't he keeps saying, "Oh, I don't want to do ballet. I'm not going to do the performance. No, I'm not going to do this." It's like, "No, you're gonna." Even the teacher's like, "No, you're gonna. You're absolutely gonna. I know you are, because you love this."
And there's one thing that I want to bring up as the last thing that I bring up for this, and it's that anytime the main character goes on one of his ballet performances, like when he does the Don Quixote, he'll be like, "No, I don't want to do this," and it will flash into a shot of his face, which is beautifully animated. The way that they draw eyes in this show is exceptional, and it focuses on his face, and the amount of very good character acting that goes into the animation of him just doing the simple motion of inhaling, exhaling over and over and over. And he's exhausted from having done the stuff that he's done. But all the while, you see these little fireworks and such going on. You're hearing the onomatopoeia going off in his head. You are seeing the absolute joy in this character acting that has taken place just in this animation. And it might be the prettiest thing this season so far to me. It's fucking gorgeous. It is animation pornography. Pornography for people that love keyframes.
Well, you had a good time with the show.
Oh, I did.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
I cannot recommend this show enough.
Mhm.
Like, I think this has contender to be my favorite thing this season.
Okay. Well, then, if it's your favorite thing this season, I can give it a shot. Like, so we can put a big like the Price is Right victory theme here, like, and that's the bell going off, and it's going. This is the part where Nick just loses it, like Aaron Paul.
Oh, Lana's watching the anime that I've always wanted her to watch. Oh, I would like to thank the Academy. Oh, my grandmother, my roommate Zach, Kai.
Is there an anime, by the way, that you do want me to watch? Like some sleeper hit I've never seen?
Oh, hang on. Let me check my handy dandy list. I feel like I know what you're trying to talk about. Yes, actually, there is. Okay. So before that, though, I need to ask you both a question.
No.
Sorry, you don't have a choice. You signed up for this.
Okay.
Have either of you seen a show called Symphogear?
No,
I have not.
Okay, I'm going to give you a quick rundown of this premise. These are essentially magical girls who get their powers by singing. And I'm being really reductive when I say that, but that's like the best elevator pitch that I could give for what I'm about to say. So, like, musical fighting anime. Healer Girl is almost the antithesis of that. It is an anime about a school of girls learning how to become magical healers. And in this universe, they heal by learning how to sing. There are essentially magical songs that you sing that have just, the ability to heal people. So it's like, what if Bard and White Mage just like had sex in Final Fantasy XIV? That's what Healer Girl is. And there's always a problem that I usually have with shit like Disney movies, where I'll be watching like an old Disney movie and the characters will be talking and you'll start hearing some music swell up in the background and you're like, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. And then the musical starts and they start singing some bullshit. And I'm just like, well, I'm out of it now. This show avoids that. It's almost like you're watching a musical, but it is incredibly diegetic. And that's how Kai put it. And I'm basically stealing the words directly from his mouth, in that they'll be going about doing something. And then all of a sudden, like, they're in their random conversation, but they'll start singing because they're practicing to do like healing stuff. And like, they poke fun at the idea that they're like, oh, they're singing to do some shit. And like, imagine a musical being like, oh, we're singing just to take the piss out of singing sometimes. And then all of a sudden, you'll get to like whatever the crisis of that episode is. Like for the first episode, for example, a small child's grandmother is like very, very ill. And she's collapsed and they don't know what to do because the main doctor is away at a conference. The main doctor that's training the three main girls into how to be healers. So they try their best to go after the main doctor, while the main character, Kana, goes over to the grandmother's house to try to help in some way. She's like, well, I'm an apprentice. I don't really know how to heal someone, but I have to try my best. Otherwise, she's going to be suffering this entire time. So she begins singing what is essentially a musical number. And you start getting what they call in the show an image. And what ends up happening is you get all of these beautiful particle effects, and you get what is essentially the image of what this healing would be in the mind of the singer made into reality. I didn't expect this show to do much for me. And then I saw those last few sections and I was like, wow, this is going to be a show that no one's gonna watch, but might be one of the coolest things. I didn't expect anything from this. And I watched the first episode and was just like, this is really cool. what the fuck? This is really, really cool. It's a really cozy, feel-good show that it's a lot of slice of life, but there's like a decent amount of progression that's actually going on with the growth of the three main girls as healers. Also, there's this one girl, she's super gay. Super gay.
You're talking about Raimi.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Raimi is extremely gay for their sensei. This show for me definitely was one that I watched on a whim. Mostly because I heard one other person just kind of brush off this show and be like, "Oh, it's an idol show in disguise. Fuck that. I'm not watching this. You're not gonna be watching an idol anime." And it's like, no, fuck you. This is more than an idol anime. I can tell. And then I go and watch it. And me being a musical theater kid in high school, I'm like, oh, this is bringing back memories. But also with the way that they're, sort of showing you this main cast of like these three girls and like their sensei and everything, I'm like, oh, this is Little Witch Academia all over again, isn't it? Oh boy, I'm loving this.
It really is.
I want to say some of the pacing and the tone, where it is very much like the main girl is a very Atsuko like girl. You know, she's a little bit ditzy, but like she's very good at like what she wants to do when she puts her mind to it. She is still willing to admit like I still have a lot to learn. Like I'm not perfect. And like, you know, the two other girls being like they're more knowledgeable than her, but they're also, you know, not like looking down on her in any way. They're just like, we'll help you. Like we're in this together.
Nah. I'm not gonna hear that, Kai. They're fucking with her. Kana is the target. She is hella being targeted every time without fail. And it's great. So there's a point where Hibiki, this green-haired girl, is talking with them, and she's just like, oh, you want to come to my room? Oh, you don't want to come to my room. I hear ghosts in my room. And when you look up at the ceiling, you can see the face of one of the deceased spirits looking down upon you the entire time. And then like the girls begin running out of her room. And then she's like, no, I'm sorry, guys. I was fucking with you. There is a weird face in my ceiling, though.
No, honestly, if you're going to put it that way, it's like, dude, if we're going to give them the Little Witch Academia treatment, Hibiki's just Susie. And
she's
right, and
she's
Raimi
good
is
Susie. She's chaotic good Susie.
Although I will say Raimi does not fit Lotte at all.
Not at all. Not at all. She is not Ron Weasley.
Yeah.
God.
But no, this show is excellent. And at the time we're recording this, you know, like episode 2 has already come out. I've seen it. Nick's seen it. We're going to, you know, not talk about it as much on here, but it is like shaping up to be a very good, consistent show. That show's animation, by the way, like the way Nick was putting it, no, it's fantastic. In the opening, there's a bit where they do the freaking the Milt call, like a head wiggle. They do that in the opening, and I'm just like, what? Okay, all right, you got me sold. All right, show me. What are you gonna do with this? And every single time they are singing, it's just a very nice spectacle, to the point where there's some things they'll do on like holding notes and, you know, making some drawings like have that natural like jitter if you're like flipping between two drawings. They did that as a way to emulate the undulation you have to do in order to get that note. And I'm just like, the people that are working on this show, they know what they're doing. They absolutely know what they're doing.
Yes.
It's fantastic.
It is so nice.
I'll watch it. Sounds good.
So we got our Prices Right jingle once again.
Yeah, here it is. All right.
And so now I am because we've already talked about Aharen-san like last week in terms of like the pitch.
Oh yeah.
So I want to talk about that a little later, just to talk about like the episode maybe a little bit. But
okay.
The main thing I want to do to you now, Lana, is I want to talk to you about Birdie Wing.
Okay. That doesn't sound good. Oh, is that the golf show?
Okay. Birdie Wing is the golf show.
Let's skip it. We talked about it last week. I'm already gonna watch it. I just need to make time. That's it's on the list. I'll watch one episode, and if I don't like it, then I'll push a little farther. And if I hate it, then you know we're done. But like that's all right. But I'm good on that one. I get it.
In that case, I want to bring up just one thing,
Sure.
and then we will move on.
Absolutely.
So, You know how a lot of sports anime get really expressive and they exaggerate a lot with a lot of their shots? So this show, Birdie Wing, is not animated like a sports show.
Okay.
It takes so many cues from giant robot shows, almost exclusively giant robot shows. Whenever they do a shot off of the T, it looks like someone has fired a beam rifle in Gundam. And like there's a point where I believe her name was Aoi. And she was like one of the main girls, the girl with the purple blue hair. She pulls out a golf club and they're like, oh, this is a really fucking long club. And they're doing an Obari pose, which is essentially one of those like really sharp perspective shots where the camera is at the tip of the blade to make the actual club itself look gigantic. And I'm just like, this is a bunch of mecha nerds that are animating a show about golf girls, and it's fucking incredible. And like the references to like mecha anime go deeper and deeper the more you go in, to the point where there's a girl that's like, "Oh yeah, I'm just building Gunpla the entire time. This shit's sick." And I'm just like, this is actually Gundam Build Fighters.
Oh no, dude! The one part that made me lose it was when like they had another match between this guy and the main girl, and then when she wins, and then it's kind of implied that like, oh, she like would have lost her virginity or something, like,
yeah, something
like,
gross.
You had to do something gross. But then she's like, no, I would have lost something much worse. I would have lost my Gunpla, my master grade mobile suit Gundam, man. It
was a limited edition master grade of the RX-78. And she's like, no, Gunpla is life. I can't lose this shit. Fuck that.
No, it's to the point where like one character straight up asks her like, "Oh wait, what's Gunpla? You know what Gunpla is? Oh, I gotta tell you, Gunpla's amazing. Oh," and she's just freaking out. It's great.
No. What she says is like, "I don't know what Gunpla is," and she's just like, "Look, everyone has their hobbies, okay?" And I'm just like, "That's such a mood.
Yeah.
It's such a mood." So moving right along here to another show I don't have to pitch to you because you've been reading it this entire goddamn time.
We can just talk about it.
I just want to talk about Spy Family because Spy Family is a show that makes it so I will never stop smiling. So, Lana, how's about you explain what happens in the first chapter, which is also the first episode of Spy X Family?
All right, so we're introduced to our main male protagonist at the beginning of chapter 1. He's kind of like an ultra turbo badass. So we see like an operation by the spy codenamed Twilight, not to be confused with the book series or the movie series starring Robert Pattinson.
It's a shame that Robert Pattinson did not take the role of Loid Forger, but moving on.
I think that he would do great as a live-action rendition of Loid Forger, honestly.
Honestly, same.
Actually, truth.
After what we've seen in Batman, no, he absolutely can.
Yeah, he's enough of a dork, but he can also sell the cool guy shit. Loid Forger as Robert Pattinson would 100% be my dream casting. No fucking joke.
And it'd be very funny because he does, like, Loid Forger does look like Robert Pattinson did when he filmed Twilight.
Oh my fucking god, he really does.
He does, like, actually, like, for, like, it's that picture, I could see that as Loid Forger.
100%.
So we find out about his, like, his long historic, like, run with these, like, gang groups, and that he, like, his big thing is that he's very good at disguises. And nobody knows what this edgy guy looks like. And we watch him break it off with this one girl who he finds, like, tremendously boring. And we realize that that's just the life, He just lives a spy life. He gets a newspaper. He finds out about, like, his new job. And he's talking about it. He's like, I gave up my opportunity at a normal life when I threw away my papers. I'm a spy. And that's what I'm going to be for the rest of my life. All right, now what's this new job? And they're like, hello, Twilight, or should I say good evening, to reference that he's the Twilight guy. I guess that's his thing. Every single time someone says anything to them, they go, oh, wait, or should I say good evening, Agent Twilight. And I'm just
and
like,
then he throws up in his mouth and continues reading.
yeah, he physically cringes at his friends, and then except he doesn't. Like he totally no sells it. This guy literally doesn't cringe until normal people thing happens. So he's like, all right, so I got to get close to this guy and kill him. All right, how do I do that? Well, you have to get married and have a child. And he's like, oh. Shit.
And then he spit takes his coffee, and I believe he says something along the lines of, "You expect me to have a kid in 7 days?"
Yes. Yeah, he's like, all right, fuck. And so he gets a house, and he's like, all right, my new name is Loid Forger, and I'm a psychiatrist. All right? Now I'm gonna go get a kid. And he goes to this greasy guy's house. And this guy's like, yeah, I have all these kids. I don't give a fuck about any of these fucking kids. And he's just like, oh man.
Oh, so you don't really care about a lot of these kids, you say? Okay. Well, I'm not exactly picky, so I guess I'll take that one right there.
Yeah, he's just like, I need one that can read and write. And it's like, oh, this one can read and write. She's also my least favorite. This bitch is a bitch. And I'm just like, oh my God.
Yeah, he's a sleazeball dirtbag, and the anime goes out of its way to sell it super fucking hard. This dude's like a sleazeball, and his like face is super red. He's super drunk.
So the gimmick of every single one of the 3 main characters, which were introduced to the second, her name is Anya,
Yes.
which is a name near and dear to me because of my Pokemon tabletop.
Aww.
So I saw Anya and I was like, she seems neat. And I watched her do a whole crossword puzzle to prove that she could read and write and that she was smart. And then we find out, oh, she can just read minds. That's her thing. Yeah. She is known as Subject 007 for any of you spy fans out there. You could say it's a double O and then the lucky number itself. That's crazy. So the guy's like, you're my daughter. You're going to be my daughter now. And she's like, you're a pa. I like you. And he's like, oh my God. that's the show. Like, that's how the show starts. Also her favorite, she likes watching TV because she's alone a lot because he's a spy. And she knows, but he doesn't know that she knows. But she's extremely understanding because her favorite anime is Spy Wars, which is just like that one detective from the Spider-Man animated series that Spider-Man grew up watching. Or not Spider-Man, Batman the animated series. Sorry. And the kid hears his thoughts, so he's just like, I need to raise this child for world peace. And the kid's like, what the fuck is that supposed to mean?
So can I like cut off for just a second here? Because there's one dynamic that I really, really like about Loid and Anya is like right before that, it just feels like a lot of the time that Anya is the type of kid that would just shit in the floor and then kind of just roll around in it. But then like the moment she reads someone's mind where she's just like, oh man, this kid's going to be instrumental in world peace. And she's like, I am. And it's wait, no, hang on. I'm sorry. I am. And so it's like, oh fuck. Okay, I guess I gotta stop rolling around in shit and learn how to do basic math.
And so when Loid finds out that being a father spontaneously actually is kind of hard, he buys a bunch of books, and Anya goes to bed, and he reads all these books, and he gets himself a little bit more, like, smart on the subject. He goes out and does some stuff for his job, and, like, to get stuff ready, like, get some information from his, like, one buddy. And his buddy's a neat little guy. He's like a tiny little afro dude. He's dope. Yeah. So they're going to get like stuff ready, and he gets the exam answers, like questions and answers for Anya, because he's got to make sure she's got it, because she's not going to study. You know, he's figured that out.
Like I said, she's too busy watching Spy Wars, rolling around in her own shit, eating peanuts.
Yeah, so he found out that she's been through a bunch of different homes, and it started to make him kind of like bummed out. Like, damn, I really feel bad for her because she's got baggage. And I've got some baggage too, so, you know, I can start to understand this. Unfortunately, in the meantime, he did have to lock the door to keep her in the house. She got bored, and she found out, and she read his mind for the combination to the safe. So she opens the safe, or this little safe, and she finds a secret communicator. And she sends a signal to the villains of the beginning of the episode that she's Twilight, and they trace it and find his house. And they kidnap her.
Fuck around and find out, and Anya Forger is in the middle of fucking finding out.
So Loid obliterates these guys that are going to ambush him, takes one of their identities, and just rolls with it. She just breaks into enemy territory. The guy Anya now knows what fucking up when you're in the spy business looks like. So as far as I've read, she hasn't made any fucking mistakes since. She's no mistakes that would instantaneously cause her to be kidnapped, at least, because you can't just have no tragedy. So
don't worry about it for now. Don't worry.
All right,
I can tell you with where I am in the manga.
Things get bad.
Oh, baby.
I'm sure. Trust me. There's a lot of stakes here. So this guy, he's like, I'm a horrible spy. I fucked everything up. I'm terrible. And then he like realizes that the reason that like crying children are so like weird for him is because it just reminds him of like the life he had before becoming a spy, where he was just miserable and he lived in a war-torn society, and he just wanted to be a good person. So he told her, like, you need to use this, and you need to hand this to a police officer. Okay, I'm gonna give you this little message. You give it to a police officer. Don't get caught. There's no way. We'll find each other as soon as possible. Okay, and he decides that he realized why he became a spy, and that because he wanted people to have happy lives. He didn't care that it was a thankless job. And so he goes in there and he beats the ever-loving fuck out of everybody. Like, he
throws bags of flour. He sets up a trap that spills flour everywhere. And they're like, shoot him. No, idiot. It'll cause an explosion. And then he just fucking annihilates these dudes.
Except for the dude.
Like a single thought. Except for the main guy.
Dude. He goes up to him and he's like, hello, Edgar. And then he does his own thing. He's like, or should I say, good evening? And I'm like, oh, fuck me. And then he goes, how's Karen? And it's like, how do you know my daughter? And we find out that he's been fucking this guy's daughter. He put himself in a relationship with his daughter. He's like, I know everything about her. Her weight, height, shoe size, favorite food, and how many moles she has on her body. And I'm just like, holy fuck, dude! You just turned this guy into like, he went full Killua on this guy, and was just like, get the fuck away from me. And I haven't seen that guy since.
Neither have I.
Yeah.
I don't think he's shown up again since, but I can't remember.
That guy's gone.
I'm very fuzzy.
Yeah, like.
And then after that, he goes back outside, and he's just like, well, I guess I'll never see Anya again. And Anya's just like, hey, what's up? And he's just like, what the fuck are you doing here? And she's like, man, I just wanted to be with my dad. And then he's just like, well, I guess
I'm your father. And
I guess I'm your dad.
And she tries to cheat on the test by reading minds, and everyone around her is crying and suffering. So she's like, fuck, really hope I memorize this shit. And then she like barely passes the exam. And they're like, wow, we actually fucking did it. And then all of a sudden he's like, oh my god, we did it. We actually did it.
The best part is when they're celebrating, he's picking her up and you're like, wow, they look like a real family. And then he immediately falls over and passes out. And he's like, oh no, I've been working so hard trying to get her to pass this test and doing everything else that I didn't realize how exhausted I was and that I wasn't taking care of myself. Meanwhile, Anya's like screaming to him, being like, no, father, please don't leave me. Don't die. No. And he just fades to black. And then it fades back into them being in the house, and he's asleep. Anya's like, oh, Dad's asleep. I gotta wake him up. You got mail. Wake up. And she's just like, shit, he's not waking up. And while he's asleep, she lifts up his arm and just like cuddles right next to him and is just like, hey. And she's just like having the time of her life. She's so happy to finally have someone in her life that she feels loves her unconditionally. Then Loid wakes up and he's like, what are you doing? Get away from me, you fucking gremlin.
Are you trying to kill me? Are you gonna kill me?
And I'm just like, bro, you can't do that.
He's been in the business. He's been in the business.
But she's baby.
He's been in the business. He doesn't know. He
But
doesn't know.
she's baby.
She understands.
No, she does.
Understands.
It turns out that being an empath means you have empathy.
So the letter they got was that they need both parents to be at the interview. So now this guy's got to go get married.
Which is really fun. I feel like you could just get around that by saying, yeah, my wife's dead.
Not with this school.
Damn.
Yeah, this school, there's no, if your wife's dead, you're not getting in.
Oh my God.
This is the most conservative society ever. Like they go out of their way to say that this is like a nationalistic society. Like, yeah, this is a fucked up place. Like your class means everything. And like if you're not good, you suck. If you ain't first, you're last. These people are very into their like system.
I would like to say once again, with the way that the school is set up and the way that the society is going, Bruce Wayne continues to take the L.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the first episode of Spy Family, allegedly.
Allegedly, give or take.
Yeah. The mom who we meet in the next episode is my favorite character, obviously.
I love her.
We'll meet her next episode. We'll talk about her.
Because, like, I know Kai, you probably don't actually know all that much about the mom.
No, I don't. Unlike you guys, I haven't read any of the manga.
So
I'm anime only. So
yeah,
I know nothing about her.
So this will be the show's worth watching. If we talk about it in more episodes, I will not be as descriptive about what happens in the episodes because that's not our book club topic.
Exactly. However, speaking of that book club, because I feel like there's a few other things I could try to pitch to you here, but
I would prefer to try and watch the rest of this.
Yeah. I think at this point, we're at a good point. I think I can say with confidence, the anime pitchcast feeling like a success. Hopefully next week we can not have to worry about asking Lana why, and more along the lines of asking Lana how. And it'll be great, hopefully.
How? That doesn't sound very good.
Oh boy.
All right. Jujutsu Kaisen episode 4. Fearsome Womb. The Japanese air date was October 24th, 2020, and the US air date was December 1st, 2020. So we're coming up on election day. That's what was happening on December 11th, 2020.
Oh boy.
So who did you vote for? Did you vote for Itadori or Sukuna?
I voted for I voted for Hoshiguro.
Fushiguro promised a dog on every doorstep.
Demon dogs. You stress them out, they die forever.
Oh God. But episode 4 of Jujutsu Kaisen was, what is it that you called it, Lana?
A squash match.
Yeah. Episode 4 and part of episode 5.
were 3 very good squash matches.
Yes.
3. Hilarious how they all went down. So, the first years have to go rescue some people that are in a detention center. So these are prisoners.
Yes.
And they're faced with the scenario of like, what are you willing to do for a man whose life is forfeit? You know, they're
like second-class citizens, essentially, is what a lot of the people in this detention center are framed as, and it is a theme that is somewhat prevalent, and like a lot of things in Jujutsu Kaisen, is tackled head-on at a breakneck pace. Where Team 7 go in, and all of a sudden, right before they went in, there was an old lady that was crying for her son, Tadashi, where she was like, "Please, I'm begging you, find my son. If anything happened to him, And like, she's just breaking down, and she's terrified. So they go in, and they find her son, half of him. He's missing a lot of his lower half. And they find his name tag, and Itadori is like, "We need to take this body to to his mother." In which Fushiguro is like, "Are you fucking crazy? This dude like hit kids drunk driving all the time. He's not fucking worth it." And then Itadori is like, "Well, then if he's not worth it, then why would you have saved someone like me, huh?"
Who like you didn't even know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things of, it kind of brings to element a part of Fushiguro, where he is actually quite judgmental and honestly also pretty brash himself a lot of the time, in terms of like how he chooses to define what he feels is and isn't worth saving. But we can kind of get back to that. And so essentially what happens is, when they're in the middle of kind of discussing this, Nobara just falls through the floor. It's just like, bye, gone. And it's just like, wait, what? And then they get, oh god, what was it? Like it's like a grand class, special class demon?
I think it's special class because he swallowed the finger.
Yeah, it was like a special class demon who had swallowed one of the fingers of Sukuna. And he's like, this dude looks like he just came right out of the pages of like goddamn like early Bleach. The creature design on this dude is fucking sick. He's like dancing around and squirming and just having a good time. And like, everyone's like, fuck. We can't move. He's gonna kill us. And then Itadori's like, wait, I got it. And he does what Itadori does. And he's like, what if I stabbed him? So he pulls out the knife and he's like, I'm gonna stab him. And gets his arm immediately cut off. And he's like, oh, okay.
And then they cut scenes, and Nobara and Kugisaki was pulled away from them in the middle of their argument. And now she's in like the mirror dimension that's in Birth by Sleep, where the mirror like battles against Aqua, except there's like a million of them. And she's like, all right, well, if I'm gonna fucking die, I might as well kill as many of these as I possibly can.
Oh yeah.
and so she just starts fighting off screen. Well, Fushiguro and Itadori are figuring out how the hell are they gonna get away from this special deviant curse that's like supposed to be as strong as like a Sukuna or two. Or like a Sukuna with one finger kind of deal, which is like way above their pay grade.
So real quick, what I learned from this episode is your power level is measured in fingers, which I think is really fucking funny to just be talking to someone and be like, if you had to judge my power level, exactly how do you think you'd measure it? If it was on the low end, I'd say about three or four fingers worth of power. And I'd be like, damn, that's not half bad. If that's on the low end, I'm feeling pretty good about myself.
And then if we're talking about the one scene, the guy replies like, no, I'd say you're about 8 or 9.
Yeah, exactly.
He's just like, oh, that's a lot of fingers. Oh, I can go ham. Then I should do it. Make me do it. It's like, oh, I love that.
It's so fucking funny to be like, your power level is determined by whether or not you can stick a fist in your mouth.
Okay,
is what
so
that sounds like.
So here's the deal. Here's the one critique I have of the finger thing.
Yeah.
So Gojo stated that if Sukuna got to full power, he could probably win. Still. Later we see a guy who wholeheartedly believes that they can beat Gojo, and he's only been rated at about 8 or 9 fingers. Sukuna has 20.
Yeah.
So now obviously they do subvert this problem I have in the next episode we will be watching next week, which is kind of a spoiliops, but that's only purely because there is no feasible way that they could have Satoru Gojo lose in any capacity this early in the show.
Well, yeah, he has to reveal the Mangekyo Sharingan first.
Yes, that is correct. So that problem shortly gets handled, especially considering now we know that special grades can't really handle Sukuna now, because so Itadori gets his arm chopped off, and then he's like, hey, Fushiguro, get the fuck out of here. Get out. But
no, I can't leave you behind like this. If I do that, then you'll
get the fuck out of here. And then Fushiguro leaves, but not without taking the man who got cut in half's like name tag. He took what he could, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So obviously what Itadori said did convince him that maybe he's a little off base.
Yeah.
And that's neat. That shows that he respects Itadori.
It shows that he respects Itadori, but also that he's not so far up his own ass that he is unwilling to take the criticism of others.
I told you he's not Sasuke.
Yeah, that's what I was actually about to say.
Yeah,
in comparison to a lot of other foils that I've seen in other shows, like Bakugo in like early Hero Aka, Sasuke and Naruto, Ishida Uryu
until the last
in,
episode,
like, Bleach. Yeah, exactly. Like
it's one of those Ishida through the first half. Yeah,
like, where it's you have a rival or like a partner character or whatever, and he's like, you know, maybe I'm not gonna be a complete shithead. Maybe I'm just a bit depressed.
Maybe I've got some other problems I need to deal with.
They feel like friends, and that's something that's just. It feels weird that I'm saying that feels kind of uncommon in a lot of shonen shows that I've seen as of late, but it feels very uncommon. But essentially, kind of picking up from where you left off, Fushiguro grabs Nobara, picks her up with a frog, and is just like, okay, we gotta fucking bounce. And it's like around here you start seeing a lot of like the animals and shit that he can use, and it's like, oh, he has a shit ton of this shit. This man has the entire goddamn New York City Zoo inside the Spirit Gate, and it's pretty fucking dope. So he's like, okay, I'm out. I need to signal to Itadori that I'm out. So you hear a wolf howl, and at this point, Itadori's like, okay. So meanwhile, like while all that's happening, Itadori has been fighting this special grade demon, and he's getting his ass kicked. And this is something that kind of threw me off a bit, in that I was thinking when this happened, he's getting his ass kicked, like beaten to fucking death. He's getting his fingers burnt off. His hand is chopped off. He's to his knees. He has been absolutely broken and defeated. He begins crying. He holds up the stump that he has belted together to stop the bleeding and what is left of his hand after getting the fingertips burnt off, and he is crying about his own weakness, that he is regretting not being able to die on his own terms.
And he was just talking about how he didn't want to live a life of regret, you know what I mean? So like so now it's all been taken to like another level for him.
like his worldview, in that he felt strong enough to be able to feel as if he would know, or feel that he could choose where it is he wanted to die, has been completely annihilated, much like his hand. And he does not believe in himself anymore. He does not know if he can continue doing what it is that he's doing. Obviously, he chooses to continue fighting either way, because otherwise he would just die, and he doesn't want that. So that's when you hear the signal from Fushiguro, and he's like, oh, they made it out. All right, then, let's go. And he makes the switch. Sukuna comes out, and then proceed to Sukuna being like, hey, yo, demon guy, you want to work together with me? If you and I join forces, we can kick the shit out of those kids. Let's go. And then the demon's like, I don't want to play nice with you, and just starts like shooting at him. And then Sukuna's like, fine, okay. Guess you don't want to be my friend? Fucking die, idiot. And just completely just annihilates this dude with a thought. There's literally a point where there's an animation smear, and it makes it look like Sukuna's leg had been taken off. And then all of a sudden, you just see Sukuna holding up the arm that you perceived was the arm that tore off his leg. No, he just tore off his arm. And then the demon looks and is like, what the fuck? When did you do that? And then he just proceeds to fucking make this demon his bitch. Fucking kills him. Takes the finger that he had consumed. And is just like, okay, job well done. Well, Itadori, okay, I'm done. You gonna come back now? It's time to come back. Hurry on up. Get it over with. You there? Oh. And then you find out Itadori can't take control back of the main body. Sukuna, being the childish Saturday morning cartoon villain that he is in this instance, begins laughing and making the biggest fucking smile imaginable.
He got him. So the episode was good.
Very. This was easily my favorite episode, I feel, of the three that we watched today. So yeah, episode 4 was definitely my favorite of the three, followed by episode 5. And then episode 6 was a little slower, but we'll get to those.
All right, so we're on episode 5. The Fearsome Womb Part 2. I'm not a fan of them already on Part 2s in episode 5. It was aired on October 31st, 2020 and December 18th, 2022.
Yeah.
Okay, so Megumi's just sitting outside waiting for Itadori to show up, because he's still pretty like healthy, all things considered. So Sukuna shows up, and Sukuna's like, yeah, this fucking rules. I'm gonna get some air, and then I'm gonna kill some people.
As you do.
Megumi's like, can we not do that? And he's like, well, Itadori can't come back right now, and I'm gonna rip out my heart. So if he comes back, he just dies. And Megumi's like, okay, so I've got to fight Sukuna, the legendary demon. He's only got 3 fingers. Okay. I don't think I can beat him, but if I can pressure him into having to regrow that heart so he can fight me at full strength, I just got to trust Itadori will come back. Right? And then he brings out his one of his big guns, his bird, and he just tries to attack Sukuna, and it's just a waxing. Sukuna's just like, all right, I'm gonna beat you up for 10 minutes. You're either gonna stop me, or I'm gonna kill everybody. Ever.
So here's one thing I actually want to kind of comment on, and I also kind of like to get your thoughts on this guy, because so how hard did Fushiguro no sell him getting thrown through like 20 buildings? Because for context, Sukuna literally kicks him up into the air, Marvel 3 style, air combos him, and then launches him back down to the ground. Dude goes through like 7 buildings, meets him on the other side, launches him back up, launches him back down after that, going through like 8 or 9 more buildings, and then his bird catches him. Sukuna meets him where the bird catches him, and then continues to launch him through like 3 more buildings. And then at the end of all of this, Fushiguro's got like a bit of blood on him. Like, yeah, he's bloody, he's kind of beaten up, but I feel like he should have been horribly disfigured by all of this. But all in all, he looked relatively okay.
Yeah.
It's weird. Because, yeah, that's a lot of damage somebody should take. And then, understandably, Fushiguro, it does have more experience than Itadori, even though he is a first year. I don't think he should have that much, like, experience that shouldn't, like, break his limbs, you know?
See, the reason why I bring it up, and with you especially, is when I was paying attention to the animation, this was like high impact hits.
Oh yeah.
Like they were really going out of their way to super sell like how hard he was being hit, how hard he was like making impacts with like these buildings and stuff. And it really shone through with like a lot of the animation and sound design. And I was like, I'm legit surprised that they did not show this dude mangled within like an inch of his life. And honestly, you can say the reason why is like, oh, he's a Jujutsu sorcerer man. Like he can like put up a barrier to like protect himself from a lot of stuff.
Also, maybe at 3 fingers, Sukuna isn't like because he's not throwing energy blasts. He's just not that much of a killer. You know what I mean?
See, like, here's the thing I would like to ask you though, Lana, is when is the last time you have been launched through 20 buildings?
You know, a couple weeks ago, my friend asked me that, and you know, the answer is still not recently.
Cause like I see that, and I'm just like, at least give me like a broken leg, dude. Like I know that sounds really fucked up, but at least show me at least some maiming. It makes more sense.
He's doing the Vegeta limp. It's fine.
My favorite thing about Vegeta is whenever he gets a broken arm and he's like, I can shake it off, Kakarot, it's fine.
It's not a broken arm, it's a lingering injury. 18 destroyed his arm.
18 fucked up that man's shoulder.
Raccoon fucked that arm up, dude. Like,
yo.
Relentless.
Absolutely. But then all of that happens, and like I said, he goes through like 28 buildings. Fushiguro is like chilling. He sent everything he can at Sukuna, and Sukuna has just no-sold it. His snakes and dogs are all dead, and all he has left is his giant bird. So he sends his bird away because he doesn't want that bird to die. And then Sukuna's like, well, it looks like it's all done here, but you know, you have a lot of potential. I really don't want to deal with you just yet. And like, or it was something along those lines. And like, Fushiguro gets up and he's just like, well, and he makes like a fighting pose. And like, all of a sudden he gets this really subtle, powerful aura. And then like Sukuna kind of notices that. And he's like, whoa, this kid's actually kind of a big deal. What? And then immediately after that, Fushiguro cuts off that power and is like, Itadori, I know you're in there. Please. You were right. And he's basically going on a spiel about how that whole shit with like the prisoner and like what he was doing during all of that time and how he was wrong about how judgmental he was towards people, but then talks to him and says, you were right. I didn't think at all when I was trying to save you. It was an impulsive and emotional action. But I did it because I didn't want to see you or any of your friends get hurt because you seemed like good people. And in hindsight, the way that I treated those people as second-class citizens was wrong of me. A protector should not think that way. And he says this. Itadori snaps back to control of his body.
I disagree. Respectfully, I disagree. Then dies.
That is verbatim what he does.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, you got a point. Our ideologies just differ. Well, I guess this is it for me, huh?
Make sure you live a long life.
Finished. Wasted.
Wasted. Dude legit just has a giant hole in his chest. As Kai called it, the chussy.
It is
Big old
quite
hole.
literally a chussie.
Big old hole.
Like, no, if you have it on screen right now, like, no, look at that. Tell me
don't
that's
put
not
the
a
heart on
chussie.
screen.
I know that joke is dead by now, but like, God, that is what, if that word means anything, that's what that is.
Look, here's the thing. It's going to be on screen, and I'm going to have it mosaiced out to make sure that we don't get hit.
Fair.
We can't get hit by Japanese law.
All right, and that's episode 5.
Yeah, literally just ends with our main character just casually fucking dead. How it be?
All right, so I guess that means we can move on to episode 6. Jujutsu Kaisen episode 6, After the Rain, because it was raining during the fight between Fushiguro and Sukuna. The Japanese air date is November 7th, 2020. The US air date is Christmas Day, 2020.
You know what? I feel like this was a pretty decent episode to have on Christmas Day because
nobody died.
One, nobody died.
That's not true.
What?
No, that's absolutely not true.
Never mind.
20 people died,
man.
20 human beings ceased to live.
Except for
like,
one guy.
At least.
Except for one guy.
The one guy who got
one
the fuck
guy
out of
survived.
Dodge.
Yeah, one single man.
I just remembered that scene. But essentially, you know, Itadori and not Itadori, fucking Fushiguro and pals are just like, man, I sure miss Itadori. And then all of a sudden, you get the greatest collection of ragtag miscreants to ever grace my eyeballs.
Here they come.
As
All right,
you called them,
so-
Team Guy.
Yeah, they are Team Guy, dude. The second year's Jujutsu Kaisen. These names are still not good in my mind. So I'm gonna get them here. All right, so we've got Maki Zenin, who we met. She's a lady with spear. So she is lady with weapon. We've got the Stoic, who's got an off-color hair set and some sort of like weird covering. In this case, his face instead of his head. Toji Inumaki. All right, and then we've got the best part of the opening, the best part of the whole opening, the Rock Lee, I believe, of this group, Panda. That's their name.
Love Panda.
Love that
entire
guy.
name is Panda.
Love that guy.
Panda is also like a panda here, like, or what we know is that he's a panda.
He's literally a panda.
Yeah, and you know
I
what?
love Tekken.
You know, if that's our Rock Lee, you know, so be it.
Look, I've seen what a panda can do at various Tekken 7 majors. I'm not going to talk shit. I'm not going to talk shit about bear players.
That's fair. He's a bear.
He's a big panda bear, and
he's huge.
And so essentially, what was the girl's name again?
Her name is Maki Zenin.
So Maki goes up to Fushiguro and Nobara and is like, wow, guys, you all sure seem down. It's like someone just died. And then Panda walks up and is
Panda's
like,
like,
someone did just...
Maki, someone did just die. One of the first years. And then Toji goes, Salmon Row.
Because his whole stick is that he apparently uses cursed words and can only speak using ingredients.
Cursed words. It's a South Park.
Oh my god.
All right, so yeah, he can only say the ingredients of what? Rice balls?
Onigiri. He can only say onigiri ingredients. So it's like he basically just speaks in fish, in fish and rice and kelp.
Yeah. And so his safe words are salmon, fish flakes, and kelp, and then everything else is usually just gibberish.
Yeah.
And it's because his limited vocabulary, he uses this limited vocabulary, not by force, it seems. So he could say other things. It's just he doesn't want to fuck that up.
I am assuming that he has some words where if he accidentally says them, it leads to like some Armageddon shit. Because they've been like kind of like showing that, he has like these face coverings, he has this mask, he has like symbols on his face. So I'm assuming his mouth in general is just cursed and he's just chosen a set of words that are safe to say. But I don't know. And don't tell me in the comments what it is or I will be fucking sad.
He seems like a nice fella.
He does. He seems like a nice dude. I personally love onigiri.
And we are told there is one more second year that we have not yet met. So, there's a contest, apparently, and the second years need the first years for it, and I think it's because of attendance, like there just isn't enough people.
Yeah. It turns out that when you go to, like, Japanese Wizard Hogwarts, and the students that are there keep dying, it's really hard to keep a good turnover rate.
Also, we find out in a cutscene around this time, a scene around this time, Gojo's pissed. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
Gojo's so pissed because the only reason that Itadori is dead is because some bureaucrats decided to set them up because they wanted Itadori dead, because they wanted to expedite his execution. So if Gojo was there, they would have never went on that mission, or he would have went on the mission and just fucking got him.
Yeah.
So they baited him out, and now he feels obligated to sit for the autopsy. So he's sitting there, he's like, man, this Itadori kid would have been so fucking hype. I was so ready to train this kid to be fucking hype. I was so fucking excited to train someone from nothing on how to do this shit. Man, and then turn them into an absolute fucking beater. We were gonna kick so much ass. Oh.
He was gonna be so cool. I'm so mad. Time to overthrow the government.
Yeah,
is his mindset.
Basically,
I am
he was
going to kill the bureaucrats.
I'm gonna kill all the bureaucrats because no one can stop me because I'm fucking Satoru Gojo. And we're just like,
well, it wasn't even that. It was like the argument he was making was like, I would love to go and do that, but with the way it is, I could kill them, and then they would just get someone else to replace them. I can't do anything about that right now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's exactly I think that Gojo could kill them at the pace that was necessary.
He could. He could, but like...
I think he'd feel really bad.
Ugh, yeah.
I think at some point he'd feel really bad, because at some point he'd just start killing people who don't mean anything, They don't mean no harm. They actually earn this job.
And it's really funny because it's literally, he's just talking about it and he's like, I wanted to be a revolutionary, but I realized it was pointless. So instead I became a school teacher. And I'm over here just like, what the fuck?
He's just making an army of his biggest fans.
Yeah. They always say, though, if you can't do, you teach. And if you can't teach, you teach gym. So
I always say that Satoru Gojo is just my OC if they could deal with it. And this guy can seriously deal with it.
He can hella deal with it. But then, after we have that little talk, we go into Sukuna's Mind Palace.
Yeah, because we learned about those domain things. We finally get to see Sukuna's, which is just like inside the like mouth of Monstro.
Essentially.
Yeah, like so like Pinocchio's there, Geppetto's there, Sukuna's there on a throne, and Itadori's like, I'm gonna kick your ass! And then they do the Full Metal Alchemist commercial break real fast, and then we come back, and obviously Yuji does not kick Sukuna's ass.
No. He's over here just like, dang it, Sukuna, I'm gonna kick your ass! Whoa! And just gets fucked. He
throws some hands.
Destroyed.
He really does do a lot better than anyone could have expected him to,
He gets like one juke, and then he gets comically kicked off of a rafter, and it's really fucking funny.
Because he's still fighting a 3 fingered ghost that Fushiguro couldn't even touch.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like that's like Fushiguro is stronger than Itadori like at this point. So there was no way, you know? But like this is absurd at this point. Like because like the idea that he could even do it. So Sukuna is like, "Hey, I'll bring us back. 2 things. 1, I get to come out for 1 minute and I won't kill anyone. 2, you forget about this conversation." And Itadori, rightfully so, is like, "Can't do that. That's too risky." And then he's like, "All right, let's fight to the death, and whoever wins gets whatever they want." And Itadori's like, "That sounds like a good idea."
And immediately gets his head cut in half. And it just cuts to black.
It's just that scene in the final season of Yu Yu Hakusho when Hiei cut that guy's head off in the duel exchange.
Yes.
It's just that. Except there was no duel exchange. Itadori's just standing there smiling.
Yeah,
and then Itadori wakes up and he's like, "Why am I naked?" And the autopsy person is just like, "Fuck." And then the butler guy is just like, "What the fuck? Whoa!" And Gojo pogs for a second, and then he just starts laughing.
And then there initiates the ultimate brother check-in of just being like, "How you been, you son of a bitch?"
Yeah, so they're happy to see each other, and Megumi is like, "All right, I figured out how to become stronger. Let's do it." And then they cut back to Yuji, and Yuji is with Gojo, and he's like, "Train me, Gojo. Teach me how to do these things." And then he's like, "This is cursed energy, and this is a cursed technique." And Itadori's like, "I get it. I don't get it."
Was that the delivery of the dub essentially?
No, in the dub it was I see, I don't. Like it was so funny. It's so funny. These guys are actually talented. So eventually it comes down to the principal makes a doll and it's got boxing gloves and it's sleeping. And if Itadori isn't putting spiritual energy into it, it doesn't work. Instead, it wakes up and it punches him in the face. Yeah. But if he puts enough energy in it, it stays asleep. And Gojo makes him watch movies nonstop. Any movie they possibly can with any range of emotions that they possibly can. So Itadori can learn how to maintain his, I guess a good word for it is spiritual pressure, but it's cursed energy. But like maintain the frequency of his chakra.
Yeah, essentially the whole shtick is that he has to be able to feel emotion at will, but he has to be able to keep his emotions in like a state of like regularity. Otherwise, the ratio of energy that he is supposed to give to the doll to keep it asleep will either be too much or too little. And if it's too much or too little, it wakes up and it decks him in the fucking face and he has to try again.
Yeah.
And the goal is to keep the doll asleep throughout the entirety of one of these movies. And as it progresses, it's going to require more and more precise control of energy. And there's a point where he's just sipping on a cola and he's just vibing. He has the most vacant stare on his goddamn face. And then you see this doll just punch him in the fucking face while he is drinking his soda. And he's like, "Dude, don't punch me while I'm drinking a Coke." And then Gojo's like, "Well, then just don't drink a Coke." "No, I have to drink Coke and eat chips while I'm watching a movie." And then Gojo's like, "You right."
Yeah.
And you know what? He is right.
Yeah.
I can't do a movie or anime without snacks. What do you mean I am being forced to watch YouTube with no food? This is incomprehensible. Food without YouTube, YouTube without food, yin without yang, life without death, spirituality with no meaning. Why live? What is life?
Well, Itadori's alive now.
Yeah, Itadori is alive now.
So one thing that me and Nick talked about as well was like how they just kind of wasted the death of the main character there. But I still stand by the belief that death wasn't for us. It was for everybody else. No,
yeah, I definitely agree with you there. And it's just one of those things where it feels weird when you have a main character die and it feels like there's just not a lot of actual impact. Like, and I guess I felt that way before with Dragon Ball, because Dragon Ball has that problem. And then it got to a point, I remember the exact point I logged out when I was like reading Naruto. And that was when, you know, the ending of the Pain arc, when Pain's just like, my pain is far greater than yours. And Naruto's like, no. And he's like, you're right. And then he's like, I'm going to bring back everyone that I've killed. And at that point, that was when I logged out mentally of Naruto. And I feel like ever since then, it's been very difficult for me to approach the death of characters in a lot of shonen stories, because I'm always terrified that the death will mean nothing.
This time it didn't mean nothing. It just kind of pushed the characters for like bureaucracy and like inspired some of the characters to get stronger, because right now the first years are kind of mid. But we haven't talked about one of the like the bigger scene in this episode, honestly. Like, I don't think Itadori was even coming back to life was even the most important thing in the episode.
It was
the scene where we found out that Itadori was coming back to life, and it's when this dude, flanked by 4 demons, walks into a diner, and no one can see the demons except this one Kuwabara kind of guy who can kind of sense demons. And he's like, this is fucking cringe. I'm out of here. And he books it in fear, right?
And like the animation they use to show this dude fucking booking it is just like, gone, out of there, gonzo. He is running for his life, and the way they frame it is like he's filling up a drink for someone, and he's like, oh, I'm feeling some really bad mojo from that table over there, man.
Yeah.
If I go over to that table, I'm gonna die.
That is when the main villain, or as we know him, because this is the only villain we've met so far, his name is Gato, is like, hey, Jogo,
yeah.
And this is Lava Man. It's like, hey.
Oh yeah, Volcano McCorkhead, as I call him.
Yes. So he's like, Jogo. If you want to win the war between curses and Jujutsu sorcerers, you need to do 2 things. You need to get Itadori on your team, and you need to stop Gojo at all costs. He can't be able to fight against you, or you're fucked. And they're like, isn't Itadori dead? And he's like, is he? Is he dead?
Oh, is he dead? Is he really dead?
And then Jogo is like, well, if I send my whole army and I attack Gojo, will we beat him? And then Geto's like, no. You're finished.
You're not gonna kill him. You're better off putting him in this really cool magic prison.
And then the guy's like, prison! Woohoo! And the whole place gets really hot, and the server books it. He's like, I quit. Gets out of there. 5 minutes later, the guy's like, hey, Geto, how many fingers of strength am I? Versus Sukuna. And he's like, about 8 or 9 if I was lowballing it. He's like, 8 or 9? Whoa, shit! And then everyone in the diner dies.
Everyone is so gratuitously caught on fire. And the only way I can describe this is that video of Critical being like, oh, baby, that's what it's all about. And then all of a sudden, he's just getting fire erupting from his fingertips. And you're just seeing people burst into fucking flames.
Yeah, they all die. There's this one woman who crawls to the door to try and escape. And as the door opens, she bursts into flames and dies.
It's so metal. It's so fucking metal.
So eventually, Gojo leaves Itadori again, but this time, like, in the safety of the school with the principal's doll, watching movies, and he's in the car with ButlerMan, and he's like, ButlerMan, let me out of the fucking car. And
Wait, what?
And he's like, what?
Okay.
Are you gonna kill me? And he's like, I'm not gonna kill you. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Go! And then all of a sudden, Lava Man drops down, and he's like, I'm gonna fucking kill you, bro. And then the episode ends.
And I can just imagine at the end of that where Lava McCorkhead's like, I'm gonna kill you, bro. And then Gojo's just like, hey, yo, bet.
That's
Credits.
seriously what it is, though. Like,
That's exactly what
Now,
happened.
do you guys think that Gojo is going to be able to take this new enemy down? This guy's in the opening. This villain's in the opening. You guys know how important that is.
I think I know what's gonna happen.
Well, the grandpa's in the opening.
So who matters? But does that mean Gojo's gonna win this battle, or does that mean he's dead too? He's in the opening.
If you're gonna ask me that, I feel like, it's exactly what you were saying before, where Nick was like, "No, he has to reveal the Mangekyo Sharingan now," and it's like, no, he's not gonna lose that. Obviously not. I feel like he's going to pull out some like, oh no, I've got the thing, I've got the MacGuffin, so I'm fine.
It really is a MacGuffin like you wouldn't believe.
Okay, so here's what I think's going to happen. I think he's gonna get hit 3-on-1, and he's gonna be like, "Oh yeah, I got this. I can handle this." And then all of a sudden, they're gonna be like, "Mr. Gojo, I don't think you know what's going on here. I think you're underestimating me." And then so he pulls out the special magic bullshit prison, and then Gojo will be like, "Oh no, the special magic bullshit prison, my one weakness." And he gets sucked into it, and he's just gonna be like, "Well, okay, I'm kind of stuck in here for a bit. I guess it's time." And he's gonna pull off the blindfold to reveal the MacGuffin gun. And he's just gonna break out of the prison, and he's gonna kill all 3 of those motherfuckers and been like, "Ooh, man, I sure am tired. Let's go get something to eat. Maybe some nice sweets and get some souvenirs for everybody while I'm out."
We'll see. And that was Jujutsu Kaisen episodes 4 through 6. 4 through 6.
Yeah, I think the only thing you're probably gonna get wrong in that prediction, Nick, is he's not gonna bring back souvenirs, because he straight up said no souvenirs.
You're right.
He'll change his mood. He just had a life or death experience. I know for a fact that if someone were to run by me and I were to almost get hit by a truck and I narrowly avoided death, the first thing I would do is I would buy Zach a nice juicy tofu hamburger.
That's fair.
Well, you're just a good friend. I don't know about Gojo, but
Gojo would buy Itadori a very nice box of mochi. He would buy Nobara potentially like a nice stuffed animal, or maybe
he'd buy her a hamburger.
He'd buy her like a hamburger,
or
some nice snacks from Tokyo, and he would get Fushiguro nothing. And that's how it's gonna go. I'd put money down on it if I weren't a coward. But I am sadly a coward.
Well, all right. Well, that's good to know. That's the end of Jujutsu Kaisen Book Club.
All right. So, what did you guys think of the episodes?
I'm liking where it's headed. I think that it is. I will admit, it is kind of hard for me to get into this in a weird sense. That like I'm watching it, I can appreciate that it's like a nice spectacle, but like something still feels off to me right now, and I can't say what it is. But it's like, okay, I need the show to let its plot and its ideas play out and explain to us this world and these characters a bit more for me to be like, all right, now I understand. It's not like where, Sabakui Bisco was completely a balls to the wall from the start, and I could be like, oh, I love this. Whereas Jujutsu Kaisen feels like it needs more time to establish its power ceiling, and then from there I can start being like, okay, these are like the top hype moments. Because right now, like the fights are great, they're all great, they're fantastic, and like Nick said, it's really over the top, it's great. It's just weird to me right now, whereas that is Sukuna with 3 fingers. We don't know what Sukuna with 20 fingers looks like yet.
So I will say with my thoughts on this, I love basically everything about it. I think the characters are already getting pretty well fleshed out. I think there is one thing that definitely fucks with this show a bit, and it is less an issue with it and more an issue kind of with the genre of like shonen itself, in that it's kind of being a little bit pigeonholed at points by how the show has to pace itself. And that it's kind of like what Kai is saying, and I think this might be the reason why you feel the way that you do, is that when you make a show like this, you're hitting specific beats. But when you're hitting those beats, you're like, I want more information. And you're obviously wanting more information, but they're having to drip feed it to you on top of the pacing with the fights, the pacing with developing all of these characters together. This bit where it's like, oh, I have to have a point where all of the characters are powering up after a big fight because they got fucked up in some way. And it's like, because I've kind of experienced these beats in other like shonen shows, I'm like, okay, yeah, I've kind of like seen this song and dance, and I'm like wondering what's happening next. But because of the fact that I'm so aware of what happens in this genre so much, it kind of makes it to where you sort of miss the forest for the trees on occasion. Which is one reason why I think that last episode until the very end felt kind of iffy to me, because they were setting up all of this exposition and such with like the second years getting into the first years, with Itadori and everyone going through their own kind of little training arc to kind of get better at the things that they do. That you're just like, oh, this is Naruto learning how to run on water. This is Gon and Killua learning how to do the leafy water nen thing. This is fucking Ichigo learning how to control the hollow mask. Shit like that. Like, it's one of those things where you've become kind of so indoctrined with the format and how a lot of shonen pacing works that your brain is automatically flagged to recognize, yeah, that's shonen pacing. I know that. And it turns into you recognizing it.
Waiting until it's over so you can watch what the fight is.
Wait, not even to watch what the fight is, as much as seeing where the story goes. Because it turns into, they do that because it's good pacing, but you end up recognizing it as the rock in the road that it is, that you have to drive past. And it's one of those things where I enjoy that in shonen storytelling, and I don't want them to stop. But because I've been indoctrined by it so long, it's one of those things where I can't help but notice it, essentially. It's like I am able to see in the backstage, and I wish I couldn't, is essentially what I'm saying.
Right.
However, overall, the show is absolutely fantastic, and I'm wanting to see what they do next that surprises me. Because so far, there's been a big spectacle out of everything, but there's not really been, other than the first episode, when Grandpa just fucking died, that I was just like shocked, visibly shocked by anything other than just like spectacle. Because I'm always shocked by a lot of the spectacle that's going on, because it's a spectacle of a fucking show.
Mm-hmm.
But then you hit like the story beats, and so far there's been nothing that has hit me as out of left field as when Grandpa died. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm waiting on next. And I'm sure I'm going to get it at some point, because they're going out of their way to set up so much stuff. And I, for one, am really looking forward to it.
I liked my second viewing of these episodes. I like all the characters right now, so I'm just like holding my breath right now until something happens.
Okay, so you're kind of in the same boat as I am to a point.
Yeah, I don't wanna just like discount a show just because like nothing's happened yet. It's only episode 6.
Oh hell no!
Yeah.
I would never discount this show.
We've got
because there's been a lot that has happened.
Yeah, because there's like a win condition. You know, we know what the win condition of this show is. We know that these like a lot of these characters do legitimately care about each other. So and also like I don't dislike anybody. I don't dislike anybody at all, which is great, because usually by now I've figured out who I like and dislike.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
No, I think if anything, we are way too early in the show for me to be like, oh, I'm going to drop the show. Like, I'm not going to drop it. Like, I still want to see what happens. And like, there are a lot of people who really like Jujutsu Kaisen, and I feel like it is still for good reason, regardless of, you know, how I feel about it once we hit the end of episode 24 and then watch 0. It's still going to be like a show that means a lot to a lot of people and did its job as a shonen.
Well, I'm going to say right now, you're definitely not dropping the show, because if you do, that's us throwing you off of a cliff.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to drop it now.
So the last thing is, if you want to find out about what our thoughts were on the multitude of pop culture references in this episode, please follow our Patreon and check out our rewards of watching the book club live as we did it in our experiences. Be in our shoes as we step into the life of Yuji Itadori, the protagonist of Jujutsu Kaisen.
If I can get those approved by the higher-ups. Hopefully we get those approved by the higher-ups. If not,
when we do, you'll
we'll
get
see.
to know exactly who we think Nobara mains in Smash Bros. And and
spoilers, it is not Marth.
it's also not
But
Meta
it is
Knight.
also not Captain. It's also not Captain Falcon.
Only hint we have is that it's somebody with a Meteor Smash.
Yeah, so good luck.
Good luck, everyone. And at this point now, we are at the end of our third episode. And I'm gonna say right now, out of all of the sessions we've done, I think I'm getting the hang of this. This went pretty goddamn smooth.
Yeah, of course.
I think that we're getting pretty nice at this, if I do say so myself.
Yeah.
Well, let's
Now imagine what we're like when we'll actually have a budget. It's gonna be fun.
let's just keep having a good time then. I'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, and as usual, if you would like to follow any of us, you can follow me on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube at RedMufflerMan. Kai
You can follow me at Kbul Art on Twitter.
and
Follow
Lana.
me at Technotenor 487. Is that what it is? Yeah, Technotenor 487. You'll see more things about my show, Precarious Trainer Unions. And hopefully we'll have some things about another project that I'm working on very soon.
And finally, if you are interested in more content like this from our higher up overlords on high, you can feel free to check out Comics Explained and Geek Culture Explained on YouTube, and look at some more of the Geek Culture Explained podcast shows that will be arriving soon on this here YouTube channel. So if you're interested in what we're doing or any of the other shows that might be showing up here soon, feel free to subscribe, like, comment, all the logistics stuff. It really helps us a lot. But also, it's nice seeing numbers go up. I get really good brain chemicals when I can see numbers go up. Pretty soon, I'm hoping we can start reading ads for Blue Apron, because I think that would be really, really funny.
This Blue Apron ad was brought to you by Raid Shadow Legends. what I do in Raid Shadow Legends,
Fuck.
it'll come across if you subscribe and hit that like button, and then I can give you a promo code eventually, maybe. This was not sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends.
Well, you see, after a long day of recording podcasts about Japanese cartoons, sometimes it dawns on you that you did not have time to pick up groceries. Well, the people over at Blue Apron, today's podcast sponsor, has you covered. And with that, I have done all of the spiel that I want to do. And yeah, I guess for tonight, we will be clocking out. It is currently 1 a.m. and
Yeah, I have work in
I'm
3 hours,
exhausted.
so take care, guys.
Oh, yeah. All right. See ya.
Take it easy, everybody. Have a good one.